Did you know Super Awesome Mix has an app? Go to the Apple App Store today and download Super Awesome Mix. It's free. You could start creating and sending your own digital mixtapes in just a few clicks. Also, there's links to our Instagram account and a link where you can follow your favorite podcast. Speaking of which, welcome back to another Super Awesome Mix. My name is Matt Sidholm, alongside my co-host and co-founder of Super Awesome Mix, Samer Abu Salbi. Samer, how are we doing this week?
Doing real well. I think this is our 7th new music mix of the year, right? I was just doing the math in my head. I think this puts us at 7.
It's July, so that would track. Yeah, 7th new
that
music
lines
mix.
up.
So much new music. And it's getting harder. I don't know, like maybe I'm just exploring more new music every time, but I find myself adding songs and then going back and going, no, I like this one better. And so so much fun to put these together.
It really is. And I have a lot of friends now who obviously like around my age, and they keep talking about how they struggle to find new music. And I have two thoughts. One, which is like, well, obviously you need to listen to the show because like we talk about new music all the time.
Right. Shameless plug.
I know. And then two, I'm grateful for the show to be on this side of it because of that. Like I actually really enjoy the fact that I am keeping up with new music and kind of seeing what's out there, and not always just picking like Queens of the Stone Age and Foo Fighters, which I was really tempted to do again.
I mean, there's still some of that, but
right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into it. I loved this first pick. This made me so happy for a lot of reasons. So the track is "I Hate Love" by Clarkson, and it features just someone so great. I'm going to let you tell people who it features.
Well. Yeah, Clarkson giving a shot to an unknown banjo player. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Exactly. The great Steve Martin, of course. Yes, that's Steve Martin, right? The same comedian. He has his own band, and I think he's won some Grammys. I mean, he's an amazing banjo player, and he's done it on Saturday Night Live a couple times. In more recent years when he's hosted, but this whole album for Kelly Clarkson is really about the just miserable divorce that maybe it's over, maybe she's still going through it, I have no idea, but given that context, this title's pretty apt for her, that I hate love. And a lot of the songs on this album are about difficulties with relationships, and obviously she's being very specific in some of them, talking about her own. What's fun about this one is that the title is "I Hate Love," but then you have Kelly Clarkson's amazing voice and just a really fun banjo track behind it. So it really doesn't, it's going to put you in a good mood, even though you're going to be singing that you hate love.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like it hits so hard. I love the banjo play. I mean, I'm never going to be upset listening to banjo. Like one of my favorite scenes in The Office is whenever they do like the banjo versus guitar in the break room, like Andy on the banjo.
Yeah. Andy and Dwight. Yeah.
Yes. And they just get completely carried away. But the banjo especially is, I think, what makes that scene so great. But then I also love in the second verse, where she sings "I hate love" and the Notebook lied. It's complicated. It's more like what happens. So you can keep Gosling and I'll take Steve Martin. So I really love that. Not only is he featured as a banjo player, but he also gets a shout out in the lyrics. And I just have to imagine they had such a fun time together. Like, how could you not?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I'd imagine that was a really good time, and he probably appreciated the shout out over Ryan Gosling. I don't know if Steve Martin gets that too many times.
Right. It might not frequently be on the same list for that reason.
Not always. Well, you said you love banjo, and that comes through on your first pick, which I was so excited about because I think this is a country song, but I'll let you defend it. Okay, this is "Without You" by Elle featuring Diplo.
Yeah. Right. So this is how you're going to get me to listen to country. You're going to have Diplo produce it and turn it into an EDM track.
This sounds nothing like an EDM track. From the jump, I was like, this is a country song. He's not getting out of this. He picked a country song.
I know, I did. I'll own up to it, but it's so catchy, right? Like it's really
Yes.
good. It honestly reminded me of Avicii a little bit. Obviously that's like the EDM influence here, but you know, Elle King has a great voice. It is country, absolutely. It has, you know, I wrote here also another banjo track. Who would have imagined we'd both show up with banjos on the new music mix? It's
Yeah, I had that same note. Yeah, somehow in the middle of 2023, we're both like, God, you know what I need? A little banjo.
I need some banjo.
That was the first thing on both of our minds this
I
July.
know. Whenever we're like deep into season 7 and we're scraping the bottom of mixed barrels, I think we're gonna have to come up with an all banjo
All
mixtape.
banjo mix. Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a great fun track, and I really enjoyed it. It is country, as I said. I'll own up to that. Here's a fun fact that I had no idea as I was researching this. Her father is Rob Schneider, the
Yes.
comedian. Yeah, I had no idea. So that's fun. But yes, I also really enjoy the lyrics here. Specifically, wake up every day and dry these tears I've cried because everything looks good on you except goodbye. And I just think that's really clever. It's like clever writing. So I enjoyed that as well. But
That's the exact lyric I called out. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. No, nice work
Well,
there. And yeah, kind of random that she's Rob Schneider's daughter. You know, I
right.
guess it makes sense growing up in like show business, right? But just like you would never think that this normally like a pop star, and this is a little more country for her, but yeah, it's like, oh, that's my dad, Rob Schneider, the copy
Right.
guy. Yeah.
Right. Deuce Bigelow is your dad. She apparently had a cameo in that film too. Now it makes me want to go watch it again.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I mean, as if you needed a reason to go watch it again.
It's
Sam.
true. Right.
Come on.
it's a great film. All right. Track number 3. You went with Love Feel by Jenny Lewis.
Well, you just called Elle King delightful, and I think I feel the same way about Jenny Lewis. I think Jenny Lewis, I was thinking long and hard about this. She's a cross between Sheryl Crow and Zoe Deschanel.
Oh,
That's
nice.
what I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that. I can see that.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I really like her music, and this album's really good. I there were a few different songs I was going to pick out for this one, but I went with Love Feel. This is one of those songs where the lyrics are kind of just a list, right?
Mhm.
I think that's kind of, and maybe it's not once you're in it, but I feel like that's kind of more difficult to put together and have it make sense and maybe even rhyme a little bit than a song that's kind of telling a story.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of called it out for that. You know, it's kind of unique amongst the rest of her songs, but yeah, she's just got this. She's got a nice voice. She writes all her own music, and you could kind of tell she's having fun most of the time, like with her music. And so I really appreciate her. So yeah, I had to include her on this one.
No, it's a good one. Her voice sounded familiar to me, so I did some digging, and she's the lead singer from Rilo Kiley, which you might know the song "Potion for Foxes." Like that's kind of their big hit. So that was really fun. I was like, yeah, she sounds really familiar. So I wasn't familiar with her as like a solo artist, but that was really cool. And then I did also really like the list format, and I specifically called out. I've mentioned this before in another mix where you get like a mixtape and a song, and she puts together a pretty good one. She's got Marvin Gaye, Timberlake, Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, John Prine, Waylon, and Willie. Like it's a
That,
fun mix right there.
that's pretty solid right there. If you
Yeah,
get that run going on one of your Sirius stations, I think you're feeling pretty good. Yeah.
you're feeling real good. Yeah, no, it was a good song. I enjoyed that one a lot.
All right. Well, then let's go in a completely opposite direction. Okay. And I'm glad you included this one because I was so close to putting it on my list. All right. This is Father Figure, parentheses, Food for Thought by Tech Nine and RMR.
Yeah, okay. So I picked this. I honestly was giggling to myself when I picked the song for two reasons. One, I love Tech Nine. He's got great collabs. Like he's an amazing rapper. We featured him on the Kansas City Big Game mix. Can't call it Super Bowl.
Well, now
Two.
you can't say that you can't call it Super Bowl.
Oh, we'll have
Well,
to
now we
edit
just
that in
said it
post.
twice. So, okay. I'll mail a check to the NFL tomorrow.
It's gonna be real expensive. It might shut the show down. um, Number two, and the real reason why I was giggling myself is like we had just featured on our last new music mix, like "Don't Wash the Iron Skillet" song. I can't. I'm blanking on the name in this exact moment. It might be that,
Iron
which
Skillet. I think
was
it was called Iron
Iron
Skillet.
Skillet.
And
Yes,
yeah, Jason
and
Isbell.
right, and it was like an advice song, and so I
Yeah.
thought, well, this is amazing. I'm gonna pop on another advice song, which is completely different from that one. Like completely different in so many ways. Still solid advice. Tech Nine's got some good advice here. So, for example, no social media flexing money phones. Don't drop location. Tell everyone we home. I mean, that's great.
That is
Like,
good advice. Yeah.
yeah, don't need to be announcing your location. Like, that's when people are going to know when to rob you or not.
Well, yeah, there was that whole thing in baseball a couple years ago, right? Where there was some like Dodger player who like got his house robbed because these people could tell he's like in Cincinnati playing a game. So they were like, well, let's go rob his house right now. You know, it makes all the sense in the
Right.
world. So you're
Yeah.
doing the same thing when you kind of drop a pin, tell everyone where you're at. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I just thought, yeah, I'd build on the advice playlist that we're kind of working our way through mix to mix here, and you know, added a Tech Nine rap flavor to it.
I love it. Yeah. No, I enjoy Tech Nine. I realize I really kind of enjoy rappers who rap at a faster pace, maybe because
Yes.
it just sounds really hard to do. And maybe like
Right.
my brain just appreciates the difficulty more when I hear that, more so than like maybe when they're rapping a little slower. So love his style. I think this was just the lead single off his new album, right? The album hasn't
Yeah.
quite come out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a number of them now that are like kind of leaking out, and yeah, the album should be out sometime this year. I cannot wait because honestly, ever since the big game, I've been rediscovering my love for Tech Nine, and I'm really getting into it.
I love it. I love it. No, great pick.
All right. Well, speaking of big games here, track number 5, you've got Journeyman by The Baseball Project.
All right, this is a super group. Okay, how about that? We just did a super group
Yeah.
mix, and then I stumbled upon one here. This is Peter Buck, Mike Mills, and Scott McCaughey, who are best known for being members of REM, and then Steve Wynn from the Dream Syndicate, and Linda Pittman, who's been a drummer on a variety of projects. So they got together actually quite a while ago. So this is their 4th album together, which I had never really heard of them before I found this album. Um, but yeah, the songs are kind of baseball centric, and
Right.
it's really kind of impressive because you listen to a song like this. A journeyman refers to a player who bounces around the league, right? So they usually have a long career. They might play for 10 or 12 years, but maybe play for 15 teams during that time, right?
Right.
And this song kind of highlights that that they're not going to let you down. Like, this is a professional athlete right here, professional, the best sense of the word, but also just kind of the difficulty of that life. And I was just kind of impressed that they took a topic within baseball and made what I felt like was a pretty good sounding and really heartfelt song about it. And I didn't expect that when I stumbled upon this band. I thought it might be something kind of silly, but it's really not. It's really good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I thought it was actually a beautiful song for like the topic at hand, and it took me a moment to realize that like they are, you know, speaking about like kind of the life of a baseball player. And really, the line that caught my attention was, "We were champions. We wrapped it up in 4," which I really liked that. Just like the nonchalant nature of that. It's like, yeah, we wrapped that up in 4. You know, winning the World Series.
Yeah.
No 7th game for us, so it's pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, I really liked it, and it had that vibe to like, you know, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Like, you're always on the move. Like, it's hard to kind of get close to someone because you just never know where the next stop is. So I really enjoyed it, and it was fun to discover that this was a super group too.
Yeah, and just I don't know, just really just well done because it's like you're right. They reference like winning a championship, and he has that ring, and anybody else like myself who's like just a big sports fan would be like, God, wouldn't it be great to play a dozen years? And here it's like you're like, well, maybe it's not as great as you might think, right? And this guy's
Right.
got kind of a tough life, but anyway, well done by the Baseball Project. Worth checking out. All right, so let's take another hard left turn here. Okay. Your next pick, Funk Rave by Anitta.
Yeah, oh my gosh. This is just like a straight summer party song. Like, I think it's just one of these that it hits hard. You're gonna want to crank it. The chorus is great. Like, she has just like an amazing beat to this song. The chorus translated is her singing "Step on it, high five it, take it out, take it," which honestly I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm not gonna even pretend to know, but I just wanted to translate it just so I understood what she was singing, but I don't know. I do love another line here that she sings, which is, "He takes me to insanity. With what I have in the bank, I can buy the cure." And I really like the ego to that of, like, yeah, he drives me crazy, but I'm so successful that I can just buy myself a cure for him driving me crazy. So I love a good song with like an egotistical line like that. But yeah, this is just like a hard hitting, good summertime jam, I think.
I thought she was referring to buying the members of The Cure. And I was like, man, she's got some money. That's not a
I mean,
low
they
price
haven't.
tag.
No. Have they been doing anything recently? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, maybe she's
maybe they
buying
could use the
low.
buyout.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
gonna buy the catalog. And anyway, smart woman, smart woman.
Yep.
No, you're absolutely right. This was such a fun song, like just from the beginning. And I translated the lyrics, but I was like, it sounds so much better in Portuguese, and it
Hmm.
just sounds so much cooler that I don't even care, right? I think I just translated it to make sure it wasn't anything offensive. Right?
Sure. Yes. Exactly.
But you're right. I was like, I don't know what any of this means, but she's having fun. This song's awesome. And she's got kind of an interesting backstory because it's like she's done a little bit of everything in Brazilian entertainment. Like she's been on TV and in movies and all this. And then she just starts collaborating with all these like huge artists and is now coming out with some of her own stuff. So yeah, really interesting story. It's gonna be kind of cool to see if her career kind of takes off.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So earlier you mentioned fast rap and how much fun it is. And this next track definitely delivers on that. This was probably my favorite one of all your new picks. So this is Scientists and Engineers by Killer Mike and Andre 3000. And it also features Eryn, Alan Kane, and Future.
Yeah, so we're not getting an Outcast reunion, right? But we get
Right.
this little gem on Killer Mike's new album. And Killer Mike's whole album is awesome, as you would expect. But when I stumbled upon this and you get Andre 3000 back in there, I was like, this has got to be the one that I pick off this album. So check out the whole thing. It's well worth your time. But God, this one especially, I mean, it's just great. And I don't even want to call out any particular lyrics because reading them is just not going to do it justice. I
I
really,
agree.
I started to write some stuff down. Then I was like, I'm just going to butcher this for the fans. And it's like, I don't want to do that. So just go seek out the song. You're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will echo a similar sentiment. Normally like have the lyrics up as I'm listening to the song and I'm taking notes. And I started to take some notes and then I realized that I completely missed like I had to scroll for like 30 seconds to find where I was again. They move so fast through these lyrics and these verses. It's incredible. And I always love when that happens where it's like you can't take your eye off of what you're reading. Like you're barely even reading as fast as they're just spitting out the
Yeah.
lyrics. Like
Yeah.
it's great. So I really enjoyed that for this and what a great number of musicians on a single track. So it also really made me want to listen to Outkast again. I loved like Speaker Box. What a great album. I gotta go
Yeah.
back to that one.
Right. You listen to this and you're like, God, why did you guys break up? Like, why don't we just
Right.
keep making great music? Right.
Yeah.
But maybe we appreciate this more now because we don't get as much of it. Who knows? Who
Sure.
knows?
Yeah.
Well, that was decidedly not boring, but the title of our next song, your next pick, is Everything is Boring by The Beaches featuring the Aces.
Yes, a Toronto-based group, great alt rock band, just a great, classic alt rock sound. I love the lines in this. I think the lyrics really are what like made me so happy. I copied and pasted almost the entire sheet here, so I won't read all of it. But I really like they just make me laugh. So one of them is I just zoned out. I was thinking about girls supporting other girls. Then I woke up in a meeting with a bunch of random dudes telling me what I should do, which I think it's so sad, but it's so funny. But yeah, like everything, and also just keep being repeated. Everything's boring, that or just annoying. And I think that that's something that I often feel throughout my day. If I'm doing something I'm not very engaged in, I'm like, oh, everything's so boring. Or I don't know, it's like I'm just super annoyed right now. So but yeah, I really like the Beaches. I like their alt rock sound. Like it's just another kind of good track you can crank up and enjoy. Like there's nothing too crazy or complex about this one at all in that regard, in a good way.
Yeah, and they have a little bit of help from the Aces, who were just on our June new music mix, and so
Yeah.
nice little chain we're forming here across the different mixes. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's a really fun song to listen to, and it's not boring at all, in spite of the title, right? And the lyrics and all
Yes.
that. And the lyric I wanted to call out was just right off the bat. It said, "I just zoned out. You were telling me about your dreams. No one cares about your dreams." And I think we've
Yeah.
all had that experience of someone going on and on about a dream they had, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. You want to get some coffee, or what are we doing?
Right. Yeah, especially because like obviously dreams never make any sense, right? Like they don't make any sense. They barely make sense to you. They make even less sense to the person you are describing them to. Like they aren't in your head
Yeah,
knowing what you're talking about. And then also you typically are remembering things as you're describing it. So the whole thing is just like an awful storytelling experience. So just don't tell people your dreams. Like spare
yeah,
them spare
and
them
and
the
don't act
trouble.
surprised when it doesn't make sense, right? Like, don't
Right.
ask at the end of it, yeah, does that make any sense? No, of course it doesn't. They never do.
They never do.
No one
Except
dreams
the
up a
one.
well constructed novel, right? Like that never
Right.
happens.
Except the one again where you make a lot of money and you go into waste management. You become a garbage man. That a dream I really enjoyed. Could totally see you doing that and
That's true.
retiring. You're like, I'm just gonna go house to house picking up trash.
You did tell me about that dream, and I feel like it tracks that I would feel guilty about having the money and just go into waste management. Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to track number 9, your next pick. Love the opening bass line to this one. It is Grim Generation by Portugal, the man.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, they just have such a unique sound, right? Like they're just a really good band. Most people have heard of them, but this song in particular on their new album, I thought it just had such a kind of a, like you said, that opening bass line, just real peppy, right? Like this is going to be kind of fun. And then you get into it and it's like, I went a little back and forth on the lyrics. Like, is this hopeful or is this not hopeful? I'm not exactly
Right.
sure. Um, and just the title Grim Generation, I think that kind of stood out for
Right.
me because you think about there is this generation where it's like they kind of lived through the pandemic. Like that was a significant portion of their life, growing up. And if they're on social media and watching the news a lot, everything could seem really grim. And so I
Yes.
love the title to this one. And I think it made me skew a little bit negative as far as interpreting the lyrics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think probably every generation feels like they're the grim one. I was having a conversation with a friend. I'm like technically considered a millennial. And I was like, gosh, can you imagine growing up with September 11th, financial housing crisis, and then the pandemic, and I listed a bunch of other things. And they looked at me, they're like, you mean like you did? Like, like we both did? I was like, oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
lived
guess
all of
so.
those things
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
um, but no, yeah, I thought the song was so catchy and inviting, and you're right. I can't decide like which way it goes. Like the line's got a monkey on my back, but I'm cool with that. We're right back where we started, and that's often not a good thing to be right back where you started.
Right.
So,
That's right. Yeah. Not sure if that's a
um,
positive place.
right, exactly. So great song though. I really enjoyed it.
All right, track 10, you've got Mona Lisa by Dominic Fike.
Yes, so this is simultaneously off of a new upcoming album of his called Sunburn, but then of course it's notably the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse song. So we've talked about these Spider-Man, like the Sony Picture animated ones, and their soundtrack is just so good. And last movie was Post Malone Sunflower, which was like an amazing song off of that soundtrack. This one is equally as good, I'd say. Like the Mona Lisa by Dominic Fike is excellent. Um, I think, I love the lyrics again. Like I've been calling out the lyrics a lot, but this one is love is when you try to place it out of your mind, but you can't turn a radio down and you can't think of anyone else. And I really like that where it's like, this love really is sometimes overwhelming, and you're trying not to pay attention to it, but you can't turn the radio down, as he says, and you can't bring yourself to think of anyone else. So I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this track, and I started listening to the other lead singles off this upcoming album, and I'm eager to check it out.
Yeah, I called out the same lyric once again. Okay, we're right
Nice.
there. And you're right. Like the movies are just awesome, right? Like in my kid, we went and saw with my son. I went and saw this one in the theater, and we saw the first one like 100 times. And you mentioned Sunflower. Do you know how many times that video has been watched on YouTube?
Oh no, I don't think I know yet.
It's something like 3 billion or something
That's
so
incredible.
absurd.
Wow.
It's like such a ridiculous number of times, but it's because it's the song, which is a great song, and then the Spider-Verse animation over it, which is great. So I'll have to go see if they've done the same with this one.
Right.
But yeah, really, really well done song, and yeah, I mean, obviously it goes with a great movie too. So love it.
I also want to shout out that we actually have a YouTube channel, Super Awesome Mix, and our videos have gotten as many as 10 views in some
Okay.
cases. So
Well, you know
we're
what?
probably right back there, next to these guys.
You know what? At one time, the Sunflower video had 10 views. Okay, so I want you to
That's
think about
true.
that. Can't get
Probably for like 4 milliseconds.
oh, can't get to 3 billion until you get to 10. Okay,
That's true.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. We're on our way. Yeah, be sure to subscribe on there. Really, it's just our podcast that is being published to YouTube. That's what's going on there. So it's there's no sad videos of me being like, is anyone out there? Please like and subscribe. All right, awesome. Well, let's move on. Your last pick here, and you went with "Almost Woke You Up," the live version by Stephen Kellogg and Counting Crows.
Okay, so I stumbled upon this one looking to see if Counting Crows had any new music, and this is not a new song. Stephen Kellogg put this one out on an album a few years back, but this live version with Counting Crows is new. So I was like, yeah, this counts, even if it's not like a brand new song. And mainly because I just loved it. I had never heard this song before, but hearing it live with Counting Crows, I mean, I was just blown away by the song. Like, I just think it's a beautiful song. It also kind of resonated with me because I'm usually up later than my wife, and I'm always worried about waking her up. And so just on title alone, I was like, "Almost Woke You Up." I was like, this is perfect. But this is about a relationship that maybe has hit a rough patch. The lyrics I call out here is, "You're so perfect since the day I met you. That was it. I just knew. But how do we get well when we hurt like hell?" And it was just, wow. Like,
yeah, wow. I know.
So
the writing is really good in this one.
It is. It's so good. And in this case, getting a little help from Adam Duritz and Counting Crows doesn't hurt the cause.
Yeah, I basically just copy and pasted like the entire song, and I was like, I love all these lines. I love the line like, "I'm happy, but I've got an angry heart," and I just think that is something I can relate to at times, especially in the last couple of years, where it's like, I am very happy, I'm grateful, and I have like a lot of reasons to be grateful, but then there's a lot of reasons to be angry at stuff that you see in the world. And so, you do feel that. I've been feeling that, of like carrying around kind of an angry heart, even though I'm generally like a happy guy. So I just thought, what a great kind of summation in a single line. And that's just one example. But yeah, I thought it was a beautiful song, and really enjoyed this one. And I don't often like live recordings of songs, but this one works pretty well. I like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Sometimes it doesn't always play well, and especially if you're making a mixtape, throwing a live version on there is sometimes a risky choice. But I think this one, I think you're right. I think this one works. All right, let's wrap this one up. Your last pick. It is Gold, and I looked up the pronunciation, so I think I'm going to get it right this time. Sigur Rose.
Nice. Yeah, you probably, I mean, I always just read it, as I'm sure a lot of people do, is like Sigur Rós. But yes, it's the Icelandic group. They haven't had an album in 10 years. They had kind of like a 10-year hiatus. They released a new album very recently, so I was very excited to listen to it. And then I was immediately super depressed because it is just like It is like, if you just want to cry your heart out, like just play 40 seconds of any track on this album, and it'll just be like instant tear generation. I think, yeah, they just have such a power with creating sounds that like move you emotionally. This is one of the few songs on the album that's actually in English, so you can follow along the lyrics. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and give you a preview of some of the lyrics and why I think it's a very depressing kind of sentiment. You're always welcome to stay. At the end of the day, we all die anyway. And I was just like, okay. I need a tissue, please. I feel like they're going through something, and I was right there with them instantly as I was listening to it. But yeah, really beautiful music, and I've always loved listening to them. But you have to be in kind of a headspace to take it, because it will drag you down otherwise.
That's a good summation, right? I did think if you drop the lyrics, this would be an awesome song for like a meditation. I do think sonically, like, it's kind of perfect for that. So it has a really cool vibe to it from that standpoint. But yeah, the lyrics are kind of a bummer. They definitely say we all die anyway more than once. So I'm just going to throw this out there. You can't play this at your wedding reception. Okay.
That's a really good segue for our upcoming mix. That it's going to be real exciting.
That's right.
Covering songs to not play at the reception.
At the reception. Yeah. And I mean, this might be a late entry. I don't know. Maybe we'll just leave it here on the new music mix, or maybe it'll be volume 2 on the do not play. But yeah, That's coming up next week. We're going to do songs to not play at your wedding reception. So I think that's going to be a really fun one for us. But for this week, okay, you get new music for the month of July. Okay, our 7th new music mix of the year, as Samra pointed out at the beginning of the show. You can follow along with that mix and all the others at Super Awesome Mix on Instagram or on our YouTube channel. Okay, just like that. We've got one of those. In either case, leave us a review. Okay, we like the 5-star reviews. We prefer that. Okay, if you've got an issue, go ahead and send us an email first, and let's try to work things out so we can get you up to a 5-star review. How about that? All right, but Samra and I will get to work. Okay, we already told you we got our next mix planned, so we're going to get to put the finishing touches on that one. And so for Samra, this is Matt, and we'll see you next week. Super Awesome Mix is brought to you by DLM. Make shopping easy with DLM, the one-stop shop for all your casual clothing needs. Shop DLMsupplyco.com and enter the promo code AWESOME at checkout to save 15% off your first purchase. That's DLMsupplyco.com.